For more on this, Edward Howell joins me live now from Oxford. He's a lecturer at the University of Oxford and an expert on North Korea's nuclear weapons program. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on the program today. Now, what do you make of North Korea's missile launch? Why is it provoking its neighbors?
I think the world had got accustomed to North Korea launching missiles and the missiles falling in the East Sea. This launch was arguably unique. It was the longest range launch we have seen, flying over Japan into the Pacific Ocean. It's no surprise that this is provoking both its neighbors, but also the US and particularly the US alliance with South Korea. And this is what North Korea wants to do. It wants to destabilize both the broader international community, the regional security of East Asia, and the US alliance with South Korea. And what we're seeing is North Korea accelerating the scope and the sophistication of its missiles.
So the U.S. has been saying a nuclear test from North Korea is imminent for some time now. Do you agree with that assessment? Do you think that they'll conduct a nuclear test? And how soon do you think it would come?
Yes, I think this speculation of a seventh nuclear test has been ongoing for many months now. Regarding timing, I think it's difficult to predict because, on the one hand, many observers thought that North Korea would be restrained from any provocations, including missile launches, until after the 20th Chinese Communist Party Congress in a couple of weeks. Obviously, that didn't seem to have an effect on North Korea. North Korea will test a nuclear device if and when it feels ready, and when particularly it feels that the international environment is conducive to allowing it to do so, and when it can exploit the fissures, the fractures in the UN Security Council. And of course, there are certainly fractures and fissures in the UN Security Council at the moment, as we can see.
Right, in the U.S. and Japan and South Korea, they're trying to come up with a robust international response against North Korea. That's what we heard them say. We've seen them conduct military drills in the last 24 hours, but what would their response look like in the event of a full-scale attack?
I think, firstly, we've always seen North Korea conduct provocations when routine US-South Korea, Japan defensive exercises have taken place. With respect to what a joint US and its allies' response would look like, it would depend heavily on the nature of the North Korean provocation and also on the nature of the US being able to gain UN Security Council approval. I think that is crucial. We've seen Russia and China only in May call for a veto of further sanctions on North Korea. And we're at a stage now where Russia and China are increasingly unwilling to support further sanctions on North Korea, which is what's hindering the response that the US could take.
Right. And looking at the U.S.'s previous administration, Donald Trump had interactions with Kim Jong-un. Do you think that with this recent missile launch that North Korea has conducted, they kind of want to seek attention from the U.S.?
Yes, North Korea wants attention. North Korea wants the status. It wants to be recognized as a nuclear-armed state. Okay, and this has particularly been prominent in the Kim Jong-un era. That doesn't mean to say that North Korea's appetite for negotiations is high. It's not. I think now we're at a stage, particularly given Kim Jong-un's claim a few weeks ago that the enshrinement of the new nuclear law, that North Korea will never barter away its nuclear weapons, and that the scope under which, the conditions under which North Korea will use its nuclear weapons has widened. Korea at the moment does not feel the need to negotiate with the US. But it still wants attention because ultimately it wants to be recognized as a nuclear-armed state.
All right, Edward Howell, thank you so much for joining us here on the NewsHour. It was a pleasure speaking to you. Grateful for that analysis. It's now time for a